I'm done with the wiring, and I made sure all my electrical will actually come alive. I haven't actually made sure that everything will communicate with each other. This EFS display is my control head for my autopilot, control head for my transponder, and I can switch radios, or I can actually get my frequency from here and have it jump over to this radio over there. And there's some other GPS functions and things like that I need to make sure will actually all communicate. Make sure this information here will actually communicate graphically to this guy up here. So I haven't set all that, haven't programmed all that, so I'm doing that today. And so far everything's looking awesome, everything's working perfect. My transponder is not really communicating that well yet, but there's a couple little tricks I'm going to try, and hopefully that'll get working, and I'll be good. And the end game is to get this ready to calibrate my fuel cylinders and my fuel tanks. So I'm going to put some fuel in that hopefully this week sometime. Just got here at the hangar this morning. It's pretty early, and I never got my transponder wire fixed as far as the transponder communicating with the Sport EFS. Called GRT. They said 99.9% of the time it's a wiring issue. I'm kind of crazy about my wiring, so I doubt that's it, but it could be, because I am human. I'm prone to error. I realize that, but it's hard to accept it. So when I find out what it is, I'll let you guys know. See you here in a little bit. All right, the conclusion of day 7. The transponder was not communicating with the EFS. I tried literally everything. Grand Rapids said probably in your wiring 99% of the time. I checked continuity of everything while it was in the airplane as far as the wiring goes via the transponder, EFS. And I was scratching my head. I was like, what the heck? And I knew it was just a problem with the transponder or the EFS. And even though they said that's never the case. But anyway, took it back home for a bench test. But there was this big question mark on pin 13 in here about what to do with it. It didn't really say to give power to it or ground it, what it was supposed to do. Again, Grand Rapids didn't know. I said, well, in case this is bad, what do I do? Mid-Continent Avionics, I guess, out of Wichita, Kansas, where I'm from. They said I called them up, asked them about that pin. They weren't even sure at first. They started reading more about it, and they said, oh yeah, you ground this on pin 13 and you'll be fine. You should be perfect after that. So I went ahead and added a wire 13 to here, put it on ground on the bench. It worked great. Communicating, awesome. I'm glad that's over with. Last we talked, the transponder had some wiring issues, figured it out on my bench, what was wrong with it. Came back out here this morning, got everything back installed again. It works great. Turned it on. It's awesome. The ADSB works great. I can see traffic just even from inside here in my hangar. I can see traffic on the ADSB. That's pretty cool. It has a Wi-Fi connection on my ADSB as well, and I was able to hook it up to my iPad and see the same traffic and everything else on the iPad. So that'll work out great. This afternoon, I don't have but maybe a couple more hours out here. There's a few things I want to do. I had just noticed I still have Clecos down here. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but I'm going to show you. It's for my parking brake. I have not riveted this on yet, so there's 6 holes in here I need to rivet this guy on. And I also have to find a knob for the top of the parking brake. It works fine just the way it is, but I'm going to find a little knob for it. May have my son 3D print me something. Also, came out here, I'm going to try to get my EIS calibrated for the fuel cylinder on at least the left tank. And I bought only 10 gallons of fuel, so I may need more than that. I think they're 15-gallon tanks, but I was going to try to calibrate my fuel cylinders as well. So we'll get some of that done anyway today. And something else I kind of forgot about when I was thinking about my fuel calibration is the vent for the fuel tanks. I went ahead and plugged up the bottom vent that comes naturally with the tanks from Zenith. I hear that when you fill up your tanks, that overflows, leaks all over the tarmac, everything else. So I plugged that up, and I'm gonna make my own vents out the top. A lot of other people seem to do the same thing. So I haven't made those vents out the top yet. So I might do that on my 3 days I'm at work, at least at the house. In the evenings, I might be able to work on that instead of coming driving out here to the hangar. So anyway, plan on doing that, and we'll see what we get done. I was at home, and I did make these little vents for the top of my fuel tank caps. I plugged up the other ones supplied by Zenith, so I got a little bit done, and got that done last few days. I filled up this tank, 15 gallons. let it set for 3 or 4 days, and no leaks I noticed. I'm gonna go ahead and drain it, and I had to reverse the sensing on this according to my engine gauge, and taking the fuel from here after I drain it and starting to calibrate the right wing. So I'm using this little guy here, this little pump from Harbor Freight, to drain the fuel out. We'll see how much I can get out. Coming up on 10 gallons now, and it's so far so good. I'll have 5 more gallons in there. Not sure how I'm gonna get the remainder of the fuel out, probably 3 or 4 gallons. We'll see. So I was able to get about everything out of the main left tank other than about 4 gallons. Go ahead and open up my valve so the main tank can drain into my header tank. So I'll open up the valve on the left tank until this header tank fills up 1 gallon at a time. Record my numbers on my for my instrument gauge. Fuel tanks are calibrated. They turned out really well. And now I have the brackets for the seat belts I'm gonna put on. I got these from Viking quite a while ago. Just now getting around to putting these on. And they come like this. They're about, I don't know, 1/8 inch or so thick. And they take rivets up here. And then they come with bolts that go up in here, clamped it in place. And I'm just gonna drill from the back end forward, deburr it, maybe polish it or paint it, and get them installed. I'm gonna go ahead and put these seat belts on here. Comes with all these nuts and bolts, and assuming you just put that up there like that in there, and a nut on the back side. So we're gonna do that to all 4 of these, and then there's some on each side, and we'll get those installed as well, and I'll show that process. And this guy will go over like that, just like that. And that should do it. There we go. Now clean out the insides of that. All right, little overview of what we have now. We got the top ones mounted, those 2 nuts. That was a perfect fit there. Here I had to up drill the holes on the sides for the side ones, and or the inside ones. And now the outside ones right there, I'll have to up drill those holes, and that'll conclude my system. I'll have 1 over here, 1 over there, and 2 coming down here for a 4-point restraint system. All right, seat belts installed. That was not bad at all. Again, have the 4-point restraint system, and you pull down on that little lever there, and they come undone. This one stays connected to the left side. And next, I'm going to work on installing the rear windows. Again, they're already up drilled, fitted, everything. It's just a matter of putting them back on. I had got the Lexan rear windows and fitted those. They did require a little bit of trimming. We'll discuss that here in a second, but as you can see, what's nice about some of the Zenith kits are all these holes are already pre-drilled. The glass already has pre-drilled holes in it as well. I did have to trim a little bit, and we'll talk about that here. All right, here's the other piece as it comes. Actually, it's not as it's come. I actually had trimmed this one already, but this is the other side. And what I had to do is trim each side this direction, about 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch, trim off about that much. So I did that with my little Dremel tool with the little little sanding drum, and that makes quick work out of that. They do take aluminum rivets. I did look that up. So Zenith gives you some special aluminum rivets as opposed to the standard ones. This rivet actually, the Clecos, the size 30 Clecos go in well, but these actually don't. I think they'll go into the aluminum okay. So I just have a number 30 drill bit. And this Lexan's a little bit more forgiving than the plexiglass there, but drill through that, enlarge the hole in the Lexan, and then these will fit just fine. What I'll probably end up doing is taking the Lexan out and even making these holes maybe just a fraction bigger. Maybe just get my reaming tool and just go in at one time just to make sure the Lexan isn't really tensioned up really tight when I do end up riveting all this together. Don't want to develop any cracks and allow a little bit of room for expansion in different temperatures.